Alrighty, Vivat Grendel, and welcome back to The Devil in Detail. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben, and this is the 73rd episode of the podcast, issue 24 of the Grendel ongoing series. It's here, finally, the first issue of God and the Devil.
Wow, we made it.
We made it.
Jay Geldof, John K. Snyder, and Matt Wagner joined forces to create a pretty epic beginning to this most religious and crazy of chapters in the Grendel cycle.
You've been waiting to wear that t-shirt. You've never worn it before.
No, I've worn it. I've worn it a few times.
Never seen before.
Never seen before. This is a brand new shirt. You know, sometimes when you have them themed, you just gotta wait.
What did you do this week, Eli?
Ooh, you got to me first. Well, this week has been mostly prep for this weekend's Comic-Con, the Los Angeles Comic-Con. I'm part of the Creators Court put on by Collectors Paradise, the comic book shop locally that carries the Cosmic Lion family of comics. I had 3 books come back from the printer this weekend. Also, I got this amazing TMNT Kaiju.
Yeah, that's wild.
Manus got it for me at the Designer Con. He worked a couple weeks ago.
That is truly something.
It looks amazing.
Gasoline sheen. I love it.
My
yeah,
God,
really cool looking.
All
right, you got 3 books. All right, so
3 books back from the printer.
First book? Let's see these books.
The first one is a professionally printed version of the Cosmic Lion Retrospective 2021 that features art from me all the way from 1991 all the way till right now. So I kind of started off, I had some of my old drawings. My dad sent me a bunch of old drawings, and so it kind of traces my way all the way kind of like through life and then into now with all the different things that I've been mostly 1-pagers or 2-pagers that I've been doing either for fun or for different publications or for the Ringsidethology or for Meltthology. And so that's super fun. And this is like my mini comic professionally printed.
Okay, that's one.
That
one. Looks like a thick book.
It's a thick boy. Yeah, it's about 60 pages.
Oh, there you go.
Perfectly bound. The next book is what I'm calling the Monkey Lion Primer. You might recognize that primer text there. And this is issues 2 and 3, Monkey Lions Do What You Like, part 1 and 2, collected so that I can kind of re-get the people interested in my Monkey Lion book. This is a new wraparound cover that I did on the iPad. It's the first time I've done any printed stuff on there. I've got because everyone seems to love it, I put the funk gun in there in the end and some afterthoughts. I have many of my pinups, a brand new, never before seen pinup by Stan Sakai.
Oh, cool.
And many other pinups and stuff. So this is another big one. This is a $10 jammy. These are all going to be on my website, Cosmic Lion Productions, at the end of the con, if I have any left. I hope I don't. And then this one that we both worked on, Arcane number 2.
Arcane number 2
is back from the printers. Part 2 of the 3-part first arc of Arcane, written by Steele Philippek with sounds by Ben Granoff and art by Mac Radwanski. And so yeah, that's 3 books back. The con is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm super excited. I thought I was gonna have to share a table with Chris Anderson, and the guy Ed was like, actually I submitted them separately, so I have my own table. So I'm super psyched about this. Truly has been a minute since I was at a big con like this for Cosmic Lion Productions, so I'm very excited about that.
That's exciting.
Yeah, super psyched. Ben, what about you, man? What you been working on?
Everything's good. I'm just really excited about wrapping up Arcane number 2, getting it in our hands.
Yeah.
And I am 200 boards into my current film project that's going to production, I think, in January. So that's exciting. They're happy. I'm happy. We're going to go through a few different phases of design and presentation, and everything's going great with that.
Nice.
Let's Grendel.
Take it to the theme.
When the body's ready to go, fast and then slow. Yeah. Vivat Grendel.
It's like the devil is my best friend. On the roads with the pen to the fork end, or till time end, like Orion. Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, thanks again to Madison Laserdisc for another rendition of the amazing theme song. It's the same one, but just thanks again, guys, as always. All right, so we're getting into this first issue, Grendel number 24. I know.
Look at this cover.
An amazing cover by John K. Snyder and inked by Jay Geldof. Colors.
Interesting concept.
Yeah.
That you have the entire scene in the lower left of the back cover, and then the wraparound cover is of a tiny little detail in that.
I wonder.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And is that image like big enough that it could have been the full cover?
I don't think so. I think it looks like it's painted to scale.
Yeah.
Because if you look at things like the shadows under the wrist bandana ties, it's just like one.
Oh,
one
yeah, it's a
stroke
little
of a brush,
extra.
you know.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. It's not totally dissimilar from the Ron Turner covers, you know, where there would be one really pertinent detail in a cubby hole or something like that.
Right, and like on the back too. Like,
yeah,
you know, if this is on the stand, you only see this front piece, and it's like
we always talk about that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like I kind of wish. I think the point is they always leave you wanting more.
Yeah, and I feel like they just want to do different shit. They just want to like make this book stand out.
Yeah, it's like this is almost like a thumbnails page, and it's like, all right, find the part that you think is the most dynamic that you'd want to blow up 16 times for the actual cover.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at all the covers together, but I wonder if it's like a motif, because many of the covers for this one are like close-ups of stuff.
Yeah, or like POV shots.
Yeah,
really intimate imagery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, good on you guys. We open up, and our first page is an introduction. We get, you know, at the beginning of each of these major sections, we get a couple words from Matt, and it's just funny. Like he said, you know, after the incubation years, he got these two questions a lot. What the hell happened this ish? And where the hell is Grendel anyway? You know, so it's like, it's kind of what we've been talking about. And it's kind of like, yeah, we get it. The incubation years, you know, he's saying like reading it 1-to-1, it's like, seems weird. Like, where is this going? But in retrospect, us looking back at it, and, you know, he says like, it will make more sense later. How you see this, these were like little periods of time that helped move the whole story forward so that we can get to this main portion. And then he talks
totally
a little
different. I'm sorry.
No, good.
It's totally different to take this in if you're reading it on the cutting edge of release versus 25 years later, or 30 years later, where we have a much better understanding of how the series, like there's 20 years of hindsight that we've already read. Yeah. So we know how this all fits in.
Exactly, yeah. And we want these stories, which is maybe like at that point they didn't necessarily want these stories. It's a weekly book, right? It's not a monthly. Or is it monthly?
Yeah.
It's monthly, yeah. It's monthly, yeah. So think about
Matt's intro goes into all kinds of acronyms of like corporate global mergers and the centralization of all North American power along the California coast.
Yes, the COPs rise to power, the Confederacy of Police.
Right.
That's another big thing.
That's another big thing. So, but like we've seen COP since Devil's Legacy, unless of course that's an Omnicore continuity flub where COP is really only, you know, from 65, but they inserted it into 2015. On fuck up. Yeah. Great. So there's all kinds of stuff like that in here.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It also talks a little bit more about like the United Californian Systems of America. Canada, Europe, and Russia fled to the American West Coast. So like there's just been a big change like throughout the world. You know, that they're really setting up, and that we kind of have been talking about the last few weeks with like all this stuff. Crammed into the lower half of the globe in the aftermath of explosive culture shock and physical hardship. Not surprisingly, religion is paramount, indulgent, and corrupt. The Catholic Vatican now stands in Colorado, which we see above, as Vatican West. High atop an immense tower, begun and fanatically continued the current Pope, Innocent XLII. The year is 2512, and the kingdom of Grendel is at hand.
But I don't think we know when Emmett Fairbanks was vying to be Pope. We know that there's at least one Pope between the end of the story that we read in the beginning of this one with Innocent.
With Harvey
42nd,
Milk or whatever.
Right? Yeah. So I feel like there's some context clues in here that like maybe 1 or 2 generations of people have passed.
It seems like it, but not like a ton of time, but just like enough time to kind of move it forward enough.
How many times have you read this book before?
Just the once back in the day.
Just this once?
Yeah.
I did not.
Well, no, just once back in the day. I read the trade.
You read the trade
in the early 2000s, and then right now.
I read the Dark Horse trade, and mine is pretty moldy, and it was a pretty unpleasant.
Oh, damn.
Reading experience, and I there was a lot of it where I just kind of like, all right, like gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
Because the odor of the book itself was so bad.
Sucks, man.
It's really funny. Jeremy Cox is like 30 plus years into his career. He does Justice League epic stuff for DC. I think he's one of those guys. In the Dark Horse trades, it's really the first time where it looks like the directive is do what Joe did, but digitally, instead of like sort of like, hey, make it your own, or see if you can spruce up the insignia. You know what I mean? Right. So
I haven't seen. I guess I didn't look at it this time.
It's very similar. It just isn't. It doesn't have the, Joe brings this like hand wrought charm to it that you don't get digitally because it's not done by someone's hand. Right.
I love what Joe's doing so much. I just am like, I want to see these original. I just want to work from the Kamikos.
It's his book at this point. It's
man.
Like it's his gig. John K. Snyder. Very synchronistic. As soon as I read this book a few years ago, there he was, my Facebook feed. He's incredible.
He's so good.
What an artist.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he's got like, his style and Matt's have many similarities, and they do the commissions on those like dark paper with chalk looking stuff, and they do these beautiful, new but old feeling type of things, and I just really love the way that John K. Snyder, his art looks these days. His work on Suicide Squad and his work on all these other things in the future are great. And he's been super supportive of the cast, and I can't wait to have him on.
Come on down, John K. Snyder III. He does a thing. What is Drew Struzan? Is that the movie post? All the classic movie posters that you've ever seen from the 80s, where it's got that like airbrush like grit to it. Yeah, he gets into that a little bit, and I feel like that's sometimes where like the mixed media he gets a real leg up on that sometimes. But there's a lot of crossover with them. Probably them almost more than anyone, even Bernie. They're because there's like Bernie panels where you're like, Matt might have just like gone and drawn this, right? For all we know. Even Joe, there's even crossover aesthetics with the way Joe and Matt draw. Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like being by proximity, being close to this book. Great.
You get a little overflow Wagnerian influence. Yeah.
And Jay Geldof brings that continuity of personnel. So it really does have a lot of flavor that the Panders put into this book, and you can sort of see where Jay Geldof is lifting that from one ink job and doing it the same here.
Right. I'm interested to see how they said they're kind of like trading off or whatever. I'm interested to see when it's like Jay Geldof on inks or Jay Geldof penciling and John K. Snyder inking. I guess that's what's going to happen. So we'll look for that in a couple of issues.
And then there's a few issues that Bernie inks.
Really?
Those
we got the whole team.
Wow, it's quite the book. And that's not even like the literary or like artistic. I mean, it is. That's not even the literary value of the book, which we'll get into. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Grendel.
Here we go.
Grendel.
First page. We
one.
do open up with a character who we don't exactly know who they are. If we're reading this, we see this white-haired, scraggly person who has bought a prayer balloon. They let it go without even looking, and this kind of sets this like almost B plot into motion that we kind of see this whole time. The prayer balloon goes up, a bird pops through it and has a piece of this plastic stuck in their mouth. And we kind of follow this bird for a while through the panels of almost every page.
Can I give you not to bury the lead, can I give you a little analysis on the bird?
Yeah, man.
I think that the bird thinks that the little pink plastic thing, however it got it, is a worm.
It definitely does.
It thinks that it's that's not spoiler. Anyway, it thinks that it's feeding its baby good intentions from this prayer. What was a prayer? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Anyway,
right. Yeah, and I think it is like, it's a metaphor for things like you think you're doing something well. This image of, it could be like the white bird of peace or whatever that you see. You think you're seeing this nice image, but then it's feeding the prayers, which are, like you said, they are empty vessels that could do as much harm as good.
This ends the speaker's monologue with the line that sort of makes them most compelling in the beginning. It's I know God hates me. So they're living in Aspen, near Vatican West.
Yep.
And it's like I think it's supposed to be like a Salt Lake City kind of riff in some ways, where you're living in like this religiously oppressive, mega broadcasting money making thing.
It looks like that.
And he knows God hates him. So it's very,
and it's
very
got
SLC punk.
Yeah, well, but it's also got this little like serfdom market seeming thing, like where he's buying 50-cent prayer balloons, and you can get Elijah's greatest hits there as well as one of the signs. So it's
we'll go back to this location later.
Exactly, we will.
All
right, cool. So next page we change locations, and we are introduced to our next main character, Pope Innocent XLII. He's having a soak here, and he's got his two little lackeys whose names are basically Poop and Pee, Piddle and Stool.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
silly.
like I knew
That's
that.
Silly.
Yeah, so it's just
like
like, he's like, how long have I been in here? And they're like, an hour, Your Holiness. He's like, bring me a towel. I'm out of here. Have that collar pressed,
Innocent the 42nd is just, he's very like David Lynch, Baron Harkonnen, where it's like they're just as disgusting as they could possibly be. And
oh my God, yes.
Every scene there, he's manipulating something or being sadistic in this way or
treating someone terribly. Yeah, absolutely. And go ahead.
Throughout that, we get a consistently orange narrative caption, and we learn that this is the voice of Orion Assante, saying that there has always been corruption at high papal levels, going back into like real history that we know, and probably some of the thought, but just the drama and conflict that position attracts is a constant in its history.
Right. And you can't truly be good and still maintain all of these things that you must do to like maintain the church. Like there's got to be, he just talks about as we move on. Okay, well, first I want to talk about this panel at the bottom of the
Yes.
close up of Innocent's
Yeah,
face,
so good.
and the amazing work by Joe.
Yeah.
The inking, everything, the like chunkiness of the inking, the way that Joe does the face. There's a cover coming up later too.
Yeah,
that's like a close up like this.
But this panel, Eli, I was looking at too. It's the cutting edge.
It's so good.
It's really like it's all these different things that are happening in like corporate adventure comics distilled down into something that's really like unique and classy and recognizable and timeless. Looks fantastic.
Loving it.
And then and flog yourselves. He just meets out,
right. How do you
sadism
flog your
and-
own self?
yeah.
You just smash yourself, you just beat yourself with a
Oh yeah, they have special whips to
they
do
have
it.
special personal whips.
Yeah, because they do it so there's like, and then there's like the guys that wear like barbs around their thighs and
Oh Jesus.
Opus Dei. There's all kinds of interesting things going in there. Anyway, the mama bird brings back the prayer balloon to her nest.
Yeah, and starts feeding it to all her kids one by one. As we turn the page, then we see Pope Innocent begins his day. And this continues for a few pages where we're kind of seeing a day in the life in the papacy. And so his first appointment is with the sisters and Mother Amelie. Is that what her name is?
Sister Amy.
Sister Amy.
A-I-M-E.
Amy.
Yeah. And he has a pet mandrill that sits at his foot.
Love it. I love that.
It's very Java. It's very Harkonnen.
Yeah. Oh my God. And he just sits there and he's very well behaved, basically. Again, we continue to see this mother, this, a symbol of hope that just feeds this balloon to each one of her kids as they choke and die, basically kills her.
You know what? I actually think what's happening here, if you go all the way to the bottom right, is that she feeds it to it
to the one. Oh yeah.
And then it coughs it up, and then she puts it back down its throat because she thinks it's food and not poison.
Right.
And that's the one that dies. And so hope can still live in a world that worships hate, as long as there's 3 little babies.
As long as there's a few you can have a few tries.
So this appointment that he has is with like Sister Amy says that this one nun convent trainee is with child,
but has not yet taken a lover.
So it's sure.
Yeah, and so
sure. Yeah,
they gave her this Arcana Prime, which seems like it's like some sort of truth serum type of thing. And she went crazy and started speaking of devils and incubi. And so they're like, okay. He's like, oh my God, it's disgusting.
Every time he tells one of his people to go do something or try to manipulate the media or buy like a monopoly on airtime or whatever it is, it's all wrapped up in very standard Jesus loves you, Christ is Lord, like it's not like satirized with like the bottom line talk from the last issue. Remember where they were doing that, where it's all like very like none of what they're saying is out of the ordinary. They're playing with power, they're being cruel, they're doing whatever it is, and then Orion Assante is in the background just talking about all these different popes who
were equally as terrible and horrendous.
Urban II had all this genocide or crusading, but it was okay because they spoke for God. Right. That's it. That's it. Like it's absolute
and they're unfallible because they speak to God.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So on the next page, he's just like everyone's leaving, and he's like, "Well, Lucas, what did you think of that?" And Lucas is kind of just like he's a bit bemused, and he's like, "What's wrong, buddy?" And he's like, I didn't sleep very much last night. He's like, there's pills for that. You can take some. He's like, they don't work for me.
He wants to have dinner with him, and he offers him a boy.
Yeah, I may have a boy for you.
It's not. I may have one for you.
Par for the course for the Catholic Church.
So it's just like right out there in the open. It's these are all the real. It's not satire. These are all real crimes that the church commits.
Yeah.
Another great face.
Continued on the next page, it's juxtaposed with these, Orion telling us about these horrible things and him up, in this giant mega church. The crowds he drew in were larger than any sporting event. Everyone comes and brings their family. Everyone comes to see the Pope speak. And it's not like you're just in Vatican City, like in our world, where it's kind of like a small area. I mean, this is Vatican West, this is Colorado, and where all these people live. So he's able to get out to, millions of people.
And the people that show up, look, they're from Funky Town.
Oh yeah, on the next page, we do see some Funky Town members. It seems
that's a big part of that, like, continuity of style and
of showing
tipping your hat to like what made this series, like, the Panders built this thing and with Jay Geldof, and there's flavors of that in here. This exaggerated panel of like him reaching towards the tower, it's like 270 stories tall, and they're still
it's still
building.
Very,
I mean, it's very like on the nose, like, the church is awful, they're power hungry, they're crazy, like,
right,
but it works really well.
And of course, what he's all building up to, what all of this talk is building up to, he sends out the collection plates, these hovering collection plates that just like out there, and it's just like, be sure, render unto God what is God, extol him in your actions and words, reach deep to reach high, praise God. You ever see the Mighty Gemstones? It's a HBO series. Yeah.
I love it.
You kind of see the like cruelty and all the stuff in the papacy, in that a little bit, not papacy, but in like being a reverend or being whatever.
Well, the last example that Orion gives is of Clement VI, who built this crazy palace while all the people starved and died.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
it seems like he's like taking little pieces from all these horrendous people throughout history, and he's like doing a little bit himself.
He says, from this opening, you may find it hard to believe that I was raised a devout Catholic. Then he says his religious roots are in the Greek Orthodox, but of course his family converted with the Great Unification of 2365. I began to lose my faith at the age of 15. My father was excommunicated for political reasons. He died wealthy and respected despite this label. Wow. Okay.
Right. And this is the first time that talk speaks in the first person, says I, and that's exactly when we're introduced and learn that this person talking was Orion Assante.
Orion Assante. So throughout Orion Assante, his position is like head of labor for basic systems.
Right. And we'll learn more about basic later.
Yeah. There's a lot of different like shadow power structures in place of what would be government.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's the board of all the different systems that he's interfacing with. And then there's also the Deva Princes.
The Deva Princesses.
The Deva Princes, yeah.
Yeah, which is like the kind of like shadowy. I looked it up here on Comic Vine. They got all this stuff. It says the Deva Princes were a secret group of 4 aristocrats in the world of Grendel during the era of Pope Innocent XLII. They were dedicated to various good deeds and wanted to take Innocent down. They were divided in how to do this, but Orion Assante and other members wanted to do it through legal channels. Two of the members were
That's basically what happens in this issue with them.
That's what you learn. And the way that we see the Deva Princes, these people talking, we see these these black bars on either side of the page, and each member is color coded. And then I think they also have the code names North Wind, East Wind, West Wind, South Wind. Yeah. I'm about to have some South Wind now. Woo!
When these show up, how do you read these pages?
I think actually what I was doing with these is I go through the entire action and then I read over the meeting.
The Deva Princes.
The Deva Princes, yeah. I kind of do the whole page of Orion, and then
later Orion describes them as a manipulative secret fraternity, which is what makes sense.
Yeah.
What you just read. Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, great. So basically here's the plot is that when society was like reunifying or whatever it was, there was some, I guess the megacorps had taken over, traditional government is out, and they saw the church as a tool for control, so they created loopholes to fund it. And now the church is out of control with power and influence and ambition,
and just stealing money to stockpile again.
Yeah,
from these people who are all suffering.
It's that the megacorps would match the contributions that they were bringing in as tithes. So they would send them from a fixed fund or whatever it is, a joint. I don't know. There's some fund, some public fund was matching money for the church, but now there's like literally no reason for that to happen. But the law exists, and the church has enough influence that it's not going to relinquish that loophole.
Got it. Yeah.
I think that's what's going on here.
I think so. Yeah. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, it'll become clear later.
Okay.
We go to the next page, and again, we see Pope Innocent chilling with his mandrel. And that's when we see this dude come up, Otto Goodwin.
Yeah.
Who was related to another member back in the day. He is the CEO, or he is from
he's from Lazarus.
Yeah, he's from Lazarus. Okay, yeah, you're right.
So he's Milt Goldwyn's grandson. Wouldn't that be cool? This old man is the descendant of this 80s used car salesman character.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he absolutely is.
There
that was the mustache guy smoking a cigarette when they were
the guy
got the monkey. Okay,
who wouldn't stop swearing.
Yeah.
So this conversation is about buying a monopoly of airtime for their Lent broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's like, we'll see what we can do, but
Great face, great Pope Innocent face. Last
panel. He's just like,
he kind of like visually, he's really the start of the issue.
For sure, yeah.
Because
we're only now getting introduced to Orion, and they're he's kind of like coming up in these.
Yeah.
But on the next page, we get some more Orion. We learn more about his family.
Right. His position is chief head of labor.
Yes, for basic, and he's in here with Miss Kniff, and they have all these flying memos that are coming in. Is that showing motion, or is that many different memos?
I think it's supposed to be a visual motif with the collection plates that were floating out.
Okay,
so I think that's what's going on there. Sherry Kniff, fun little nod. He's trying to get a meeting on the board where he can say the fund that the church is trying to destabilize the financial system.
Right. And he wants to be able to dig in, basically like audit where all this stuff is going to make sure it's being used correctly. I mean, that shouldn't be a problem.
I mean, yeah, I don't. Thing is, like, all we know, or should it? Like, all we know about Innocent is that he's awful. We don't know
anything but.
We don't know the depths of his awfulness. All right, great. Yeah. Speaking of the way that the future has restructured society, we're introduced to Orion's twin sisters, who are also his lovers.
Right.
And it's just so like matter of fact, and that's what this is about. And this like aristocratic old money family, and it's like Cersei and Jamie, and that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very normal part of the story from here on out.
I mean, they really do change the way we look at everything. Like, are they his like birth sisters from the same parents? Like, we don't necessarily know that. You think so?
They have the same mother.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I forgot that. Okay. So and he looks to them
in that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
He looks to them for almost everything, to be like, leaders, to talk things out, to to get advice, looks to them as counselors and all this stuff. So
yeah,
he's trying to talk it all out as they get a massage.
This pretty terse but complex dialogue exchange that they have, where there's like 12 balloons, but some of them are just one word. is very much like what Matt played with in the incubation years.
Hmm.
Except here it's sort of mixed in with more complete sentences, and so it makes the conversations really complex because parts of them are specific and other parts are just like kind of afterthoughts.
Yeah, they have such a shorthand. They have such a way
Yeah.
of talking. I don't know. Do you watch Succession?
Oh, for
Yeah, I think
sure.
we talked about it. Yeah, I'm caught up now. They the way they talk, it's just like not normal. You know, it's just like
Right.
this rich power family. It's all like metaphors and you know, colorful language and you know, this is that. So I feel like they kind of have the same kind of way of talking where it's like,
One thing that I thought was really funny about one of these sisters is she wearing an A earring for Asante?
oh yes.
I thought that was very funny.
Yeah,
And then
great.
also I wasn't sure. It seems like they were dining with their servants.
I'm having some sashimi.
I feel like there's some kind of subtext where as the head of labor, he treats like his servants very well.
Mm,
Like he has good intentions. He's saying that like the way that the church is dominating society is not within bureaucracy, it's not within the best interest of society.
yeah,
Like, you know, it's not sustainable.
right. And I'm looking to, you know, make some inroads to try to see if we can't save this thing, you know.
Yeah, this is where he talks about the Deva Princes. The manipulations of dark fraternities don't concern me right then. I was going to stand tall and in the spotlight for this. Maybe if Innocent had a more visible target, he wouldn't be able to shoot straight. And then we cut right back to Innocent being absolutely awful after this great spread.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like he's just again torturing people.
Right.
I like how, you know, the people underneath their balloons are kind of, or their thought
Yeah.
bubbles are like a little bit
This
sideways.
is a great page. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is like the masterclass pages. That middle panel, the guy's like reflection in his sunglasses.
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
so much energy. It's
Yeah.
great.
I wonder if Joe did something like over top, like if in the original it's just the straight blacks and then Joe kind of drew over top of the black, or
No, I bet he's just painting underneath it.
just painting it. They
That's
did
a
that.
very, very Geldof
Geldoffian.
power move.
Ah, nice.
This is a great, yeah. I really, really enjoyed this panel. Like the camera work is very cool
Yeah, very good.
and all that. I think
right,
what
so now-
is going
yeah.
on here is that they're
Mhm.
introducing this guy Colin Fernier,
Mhm.
who is he's from Norcom, and his brother is a priest, and they're gonna buy him off. They're gonna get some protection from this guy.
Right, and Norcom is another one of these big businesses that are
Yeah.
that are working together. That, you know, once we get to the next page, we learn more. But you know, he's just kind of like watching and enjoying this person, this heretic who has yet to confess. They're just watching him burn. It's kind of like Red Roomy down here at the bottom.
I had the same thought. In
Yeah.
fact, like some of these costumes are like exactly the same as Red Room,
I know. Yeah.
with like the sack like
The
eyes.
sack.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's very funny how like it's almost like Mel Brooks or Terry Gilliam, how like awful the torturer stuff is.
Yeah.
In here, it's like cartoonishly stupid.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a bad way. Like that's what you see, and what Orion is uncovering is just like that they're going to destroy society, just for their own like gratification.
Yes.
Ugh,
Ugh.
awful.
All right, so but then he's got to get to Seattle because there's this big meetup of all these corporations, right? No, the other guy's going to Seattle. I'll leave for Seattle tonight. Yeah, what's his name? Did we find out the name of this guy? I don't think we did. The bald guy. Oh, my blessings, Luderico.
It's Luderico.
Welcome, Luderico.
Yeah,
All
no. Orion goes from, I would guess, he's in basic. I think that was San Francisco.
Yeah, it might be
The Bay Area.
The Bay Area. Yeah, yeah.
he went to Aspen because he's at this board meeting. Like
Which
all
is
the
at the Iacocca Hall.
Iacocca. You were talking about Iacocca.
Lee Iacocca.
Lee
He was a
Iacocca.
big shoot, man. I think he owned a car. Let's see. Yeah, he was an American executive. Was an automobile executive, best known for the development of the Ford Mustang and the Ford Pinto. Yeah. So yeah, he's always one of those guys that I feel like my grandfather had his biography on the.
A great capitalist.
Yeah. All right. So then he's going in there, and the board is like bringing Orion in front of everyone. Fellow members, this is Orion Assante, chief head of labor for Basic. And he's ready. He wants to address them and allow. Okay, so and here's where we kind of get this introduction to all the big people. Colin Fournier of Norcom. Norcom is Northern Communication. Lynn Peterson of Vegas. That's just Vegas. That's of Vegas. And Vegas is gonna play very big into this story later.
I do not remember.
Oh, okay, cool.
I do not remember what goes on in the story.
Oh shoot, man, Vegas is wild.
So it is so dense and like there's so many more moving parts that are in this issue.
Yeah. I mean just later in like issues down the road, like a few issues down the road. And then we have the head of Bay Area Systems of Intercommunication, that is Basic. And that is what's her name from before?
Sherry Kniff.
Sherry Kniff. A shout out to Milt Kniff, you think?
I guess so.
Dude, are you reading Echo Lands, J.H. Williams' new book from Image? It's like Run Sideways. I'm not reading
anything right now.
It's so good. There's all these different characters from like different types of comics, and there's also a character named Kniff who kind of seems like he's from like an old school comic.
Oh, that's cool.
That book is great, man. You should definitely check that out.
Yeah, I had it in my hands. It looks very cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So Otto Goodwin of Lazarus.
Yep. Los Angeles Standard. See, we didn't know this. They didn't give us this last time. Los Angeles Standard Entertainment and Recreational Unified Systems. See, that's cool. I felt like the Lazarus thing was like, Lazarus coming back, like, and bringing forth, this new thing.
Sure.
But yeah, we have David Sue of Colorado.
This is his home turf.
We're in his homeland right here, his turf. And Gerald Wheeling of Sweats. Sweats is the Southwestern Entertainment and Transcommunication Systems. It's got to be so fun building these.
Yeah, well, it's so funny that like it's like the Disney Corporation has science fiction, just like stockpiling money on entertainment and movies and Chazarai and theme parks and all this shit. Like that's what this is.
That's what's happening.
I really wish that we could have like the Grendel MCU fanboy years. I would love to see that.
Oh my God. Who knows? Well, who knows how hard this Netflix series is going to hit.
Yeah, right. All right. So this is
next page.
This is really funny. This is a woman freezing to death because she had tithed too much. She ran out of money. She gave all her money to the church. This is exactly a story that they used to vilify Steve Mnuchin. That when he was on whatever fucking financial whatever, he like shut off some old lady's heat because she was like $2 and change delinquent.
Oh my God!
And she died.
Wow, Steve.
So that's what this is. So very, very prophetic.
Mm-hmm. But our concern is simply mundane. The church is usurping importance. Its unifying graces are now too voracious. A vortex spinning upward in the form of a tower. Orion is like going in a little bit.
He's going in.
Yeah, and the dude from Lazarus was like, "What are you suggesting? We outlaw religion because we know he is like in the pocket of big Christianity."
Right.
So like, yeah. And he's like, "Dude, that's not going to work. Like, we can't do that. The Soviets tried it. You cannot die people, their spirits." Oh, get drunk on the spirits of Jesus.
The Deva Princes are deciding that they should kill Innocent.
2 of them are for it, but they cannot have a thing because the north wind is not there, which makes me believe Orion is that north wind.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not indeed?
All right. So they're like, all right, continue, Mr. Assante. And then he's like just talking about how he was trying to get some evidence on how they're making their spending. And he wants to start a committee, a regulatory committee, to see where all this money's going. And Kniff here is like, oh, you want to run it? And he's like, jackpot. I mean, they kind of probably knew that was going to happen. They're in a bit of cahoots. And so he's like, you know, if that's the case, then I'll do it. This is a yoke that I will wear. And he gets started, you know, and they leave and they kind of just like bounce. And he's like, all right, now the work begins.
Good job. It's not a real power.
He doesn't have
purely ceremonial, you know.
Oh, do you mean Orion?
Orion.
Well, he doesn't have any power necessarily, but he is hopefully going to be given the ability to uncover some things, which could lead to some power. Yeah. So he on the next page, he FaceTimes his sisters, and you know, they kind of talk about it. You know, Fourier was hostile, you know, but maybe he's paid, and he's like, you know, he definitely is. And they say, be careful. He says, I love you.
I love you both.
Yeah.
You gotta be egalitarian in your sibling throuple.
Yeah. I feel it with my two kitties.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? I just lift them up at the same time. Kind of thing, you know what I mean? All right. Finally. So we return to the bazaar here.
Yeah.
Where you can buy your Innocent 42 night lights. And we see this protester.
He's got a bit of a Steve Rude thing going on.
A Rude dude. Yeah.
Nightlight guy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can afford electricity.
If you can afford electricity.
Oh, and here's something I wanted to say. So at the bottom here, we see that Orion is like buying, you know, some Christ soap on a rope that he said he was going to bring home, kind of ironically, for his sisters. We see this Funky Town resident here coming in, and he has LSD on his forehead. Yes, the Bob Schreck LSD. I wonder if that has to be a call out to that.
That's gotta be Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Epi Thatcher, the unnamed as of yet Epi Thatcher.
Mm-hmm.
God hates me. He really
does. I got a sandwich board. That's so funny. All right, so next page, the guy's like freaking. He's like, keep your eye on the Lord. You can see it, can you? You can see it's the end. And he kind of like, you know, Orion kind of spins around. The guy falls down and
they have a little Jesus conflict.
Mm-hmm. He's starting to feel weird about buying this Jesus soap on a rope. He's kind of like, what? And then Sherry called and they began talking about this investigative, the Tower Commission is what they're calling
Your power will be highly restricted.
Mm-hmm. The board has approved the committee with me as its head.
He's he's basically going in there to be slaughtered.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
well, okay. Yeah. He's given the job to do, but I guess he doesn't have the power to actually, you know, request documents maybe, or receipts, or
you have to tread lightly. Yeah. I mean,
right.
I don't even know if it's receipts. It's like, he knows how much money is being taken out of like the public fund by the church.
Yeah.
Right. So he doesn't need receipts. It's like every time, you know, X money, they say it's like $800,000 every time they broadcast.
Right. An insane amount of money.
Yeah.
All right. But also Sherry has arranged for an audience with the Pope, with Orion and the Pope for tomorrow.
Great.
It'll be the first time he's ever seen him in person. And he just wishes his sisters were there to give him a little hype. Speaking of hype, next page, we got the hype page, though. We do have an in memoriam for Marcellin Joplin.
He's got great hair.
Great hair. Fantastic beard, shaped up nice. I'm not familiar with him, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but much love to Marcellin. And we'll remember this time to read next week's hype, or next month's hype here at the end.
Okay.
All right, so next page, we see two things happening at once. We see
Right.
Orion kind of getting himself hyped up for this meeting.
Waiting.
And-
They make him wait for hours.
Right, exactly. They make him wait. And during that time, we also see this Red Room lady putting on her boots, putting on her.
It's basically Red Room.
Yeah, tight as the thorns in your crowns. I love you, Jesus. And she's torturing herself there, basically. She's got these like crunch boots on that are seemingly, it looks to me as if she's having pain inflicted by those.
It looks like they're too tight. It's very Granny Goodness, this character.
Yeah. All right. So intending to intimidate him, but it did nothing but strengthen the resolve of Orion Assante as the grand entrance comes in as Poop and P lead Pope Innocent in.
Here, they talk about drugs here. They say that hash.
Oh yeah, they're burning hash in those things to try to loosen them.
Immature drug. Is that a nod to the Grendel drug that we'll get to know later?
Yeah, I do believe it is. I mean, what's hash when you can mainline Grendel? On the next page, Innocent offers his steely hand, his cold, steely hand for Orion to kiss the ring, which he unwittingly does. He knows he has.
Well, he does, but he doesn't kneel.
Ah, that's right.
So he's sort of playing a game of being respectful or whatever.
Right.
He calls him your grace.
Right, which he thinks is also offensive in a way. He's like he introduces himself. I'm the representative of the central board. My purpose is to investigate the church's use of match assets supplied by the central fund, and I need to arrange for this. And like, dude, Pope Innocent's eyes go red. He is fucking pissed. But again, he kind of feels like he has got to ask him. But then we see this Granny Goodness. We see this Red Room lady. He's just got this hair picker with elephant clips, is just ripping her hair out. She turns it from pull to yank to pull to pluck.
Yeah. So this is like the first funny panel. I guess the mandrill is kind of funny, but this is the first one where it's like madcap.
A little bit, yeah, a little goofy. Okay, so Orion's like, dude, I'm doing this, and I would appreciate any help you can give me. As his eyes go red, he's pissed. Politeness could not disguise the fact that I was the enemy.
Yeah.
And next page, he like just is telling him more. I want the committee. We show me faith, good honor.
Right. As a show of good faith, I want you to relinquish the broadcast monopoly that you just secured.
Yeah, and
because I know that, because what he's saying is, you make enough money that we both know that you don't need our money. Your tower is 270 stories tall.
Right. Like, why are you still collecting?
Both know. Right. Yeah. We both know you're bullshitting. He's like, well, it took a lot of work to get that broadcast monopoly. So
yeah. So I'm not dropping.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, no, dude, I ain't doing it. And he's like, okay, well, fine then. But we're gonna have to start making some working together in order to get this done. As I closed the audience, I could hear the acolytes gasp at my audacity. I kept expecting him to hit me with the back of his crucifix as we see this lady getting lub-dubbed, whack, 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 whack.
It's a great panel.
Yeah.
I love the flat red against like the sort of painted reflection in her eyes. In her glasses. Yeah, really cool. Really, really well done, Joe.
And dude, on the next page, as he's exiting, he just says, "Stool, bring me a boy." The ultimate aphrodisiac of the popes.
And then Sister Amy, this third panel is really great, where she's got the rosary and the glasses, and
she's holding her arm
kissing.
Up.
Yeah, she's kissing the statue.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
All right, and so now we're back and we're into the church again, as everyone has their arms up in glory, as he's, the day of ashes is upon us. And again, we're in the Deva Princes. Yep. It's my understanding that the Lenten ceremonies are to proceed as an all-channel wipeout for 3 systems. And it's like, yeah, I couldn't do it. Influential, not regulatory, which is bullshit. So they're kind of like, we tried for this thing, it didn't work, we're gonna keep trying.
They're pulling for Orion. Again, at this point, do you still think Orion is on the board as strongly as you might have earlier?
Like as a player and everything.
Do you think it matters? No.
All right, so here we go. He didn't know anything. And we continue
let's get to the reason
now
for the
here we
season.
go. Right. First panel on this next page 22, we see this character in black and blue getting these circular boots.
His Mr. Miracle boots on.
Yeah. We flash back to the Pope. He's doing his thing. Get thee gone, Grendel, he said. They use the word Grendel in place of devil now. Grendel is all the evil in the world. Put not the Lord your God to test. Have faith in him. And again, like, look at this character. Like, he is dastardly. Everyone, all the Freak City people, Funky Town, Freak City, that's different. That's the home of the Girl Scouts. Shout out Jamal. Anyway, here, so on the last panel here, much as the first, we see this character floating up. This character we now see that has a very familiar looking weapon, but with flowing blue cape. We see the birds again squawking as this caped character flies around the top of this giant church.
Yeah,
just
Joe
as
it with the airbrush here.
Oh yeah, Joe. Just as all the plates are being sent out, more. Yeah. Orion is in his bed, naked with his sisters. As we watched, I felt brutalized. Just one sock on. I love that detail. He felt brutalized by the event, taking it personally as he just having, an audience with this disgusting character, as these grisly hands are just giving everything they've got. Every coin that fell was a scar on my brain. I thought this hurt beyond measure, but I didn't know anything about pain. We turn the next page. More money is coming in as we see the ascent of this character again, and he's got some sort of device coming to the top of this arena. The dead bird falls back. We see a hand switch on, click, tick, tock, tick, tick, tick. The next page, the action is rising. The churchgoers are chanting, "There's an explosion!" At 2043, the dome of St. Elvis Cathedral shattered. These people are looking up in horror as this arcade character blasts down right into this pit of money. Pope Innocent hides his face, and we see the boots, these moccasins,
filthy boots.
And on the next page, the devil walked the earth again. He never really left, and we see the amazing reveal of Epi Thatcher.
Yeah.
Boom. Grendel.
The first panel of Epi Thatcher we didn't even talk about. It's on the bottom of 21.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's doing the rooftops, and this is probably Joe's best.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the blue and the purple.
Yeah.
Love
All
it.
Right, good. So that's the end of the first issue.
Boom. We had a lot of story. We had a lot of world set up. And then, just as any good introduction of a new character, you give it to him in the last page, and then the next issue we'll see the full breadth of it all.
It's just so funny how much focus is put on Orion. It really is his story.
It really is. And I mean, he's the character that we really follow for almost the rest of the cycle. Mm-hmm. And into Jupiter and the Paladin and everything.
I mean, he has just as much, if not more, stories and lore and legacy than Hunter Rose.
Right.
And he is the Grendel Khan. He's a big deal. It's just so funny that he is the Grendel of Grendels, and yet here's Epi Thatcher, this like person who, it's like very SLC punk.
Yeah, that society
discarded the guy. I think is really interesting about Epi Thatcher is that like like Hunter, he's also a tinkerer,
Right.
right? I find that really really fascinating.
Yeah.
But Epi Thatcher, like I remember the first time I read this, I was like, all right, wow, that's some good Orion Assante backstory. I want to know about Grendel. Where's Epi Thatcher? And we really don't learn that much about this character. He's not even named in this issue.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And again, it's been a minute since I've read. I know we get those scenes of him like tinkering and building and stuff. And, I think we will learn a little bit more about him, but, I'm excited. I can't remember all the intricate details. Like, we've been through it. We love this thing, but I like not remembering and coming back to it and learning all this stuff again with you.
It looks much different seeing it in the original Kamiko. It's really the only way to look
It's the first time for me going through it that way as well. Cool, dude. All right, so let's read the synopsis for next issue
25.
next week on Grendel. Shortly after Pope Innocent XLII reinstates the Second Inquisition, Orion Assante makes his move, arranging for a head-on collision between the two. Meanwhile, from above, the Devil at Large has plans of his own. Written by Matt Wagner, with art by John K. Snyder and Jay Geldof, who will alternate penciling and inking duties every third issue, and featuring hand-painted colors by Joe Matt. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Although I feel like Bernie comes in the pinch, like I said, 2 or 3 times maybe. That schedule isn't exactly what happens. But.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, great.
It's pretty cool, actually. In the letters column, another letter from Jamie S. Rich. Shout out Jamie S. Rich, and also I believe this says Malcolm Bourne. I almost think that he's a listener of the cast, that we talked to him. I spoke with him. I'm not sure. Shout out Malcolm.
Malcolm, confirm yourself.
And we have this really cool Frank A. Shuttle made a really cool like Hunter Rose statue, and it says he used a 1966 Tarzan Aurora kit as a starting point, and the backgrounds are Frank Miller Dark Knight poster and Kenner's Ghostbuster headquarters.
Very cool.
Super cool. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. All right, cool. Ben. Vivat Grendel, and keep on Grendeling.
You too.
All right. Good to see you. Until next week, y'all.
Yes, y'all.